After heading to the countryside, my cousin Lily fully embraced the idea of being as indifferent as a daisy. I fought tooth and nail for a spot at work, and she turned her head to take on the hard work meant for the sick. While I was willing to do almost anything for a piece of bread, she was handing out my sweetest cherished candies to rascals. I worked my butt off to earn the opportunity to go to college, then she turned around and drank pesticides. "Sis, after I'm gone, that spot is yours," she said. Friends sighed. Lily didn't care about anything, and you pushed her to her limits. My crush was furious. Why do you have to compete for everything, even with your own sister? Under everyone's judgmental gaze, I finally got it. What's the harm in wanting a little more? She just wants it all. Seeing her on the verge of death, I rushed to the latrine, scooped up a ladle of manure soup. Get out of the way. It's people like her who need to live long lives. We should use our wisdom and dive into a broader world and do more meaningful things. The girl in the middle of the classroom stood tall in her long dress, drawing attention. Facing all the compliments, she stayed cool and confident, taking a step forward. "Even if I'm unwell and forever on meds, as long as I have a breath, I will try," she said. Hearing this, I suddenly felt a jolt of déjà vu. Memories rushed through my mind like a movie. Isn't that what Lily said before she signed up for the countryside program? I admired her then for her righteous mindset, until she included me in the conversation. Sigh, I don't have a dad who's a supply manager, or a mom who's a doctor. No fancy international supplements, so I've been frail. If I were healthy like my cousin, I'd enroll for sure. Her casual comments put me on a pedestal and turned me into a target. My parents ended up losing their jobs, and though I was an only child and should have been exempt from going, I hastily packed a few clothes and went to the countryside to earn a living by farming. Those days in the rural village were a nightmare. I hoped to lean on my cousin, who seemed to be as calm and gentle as a daisy. I thought we could support each other. I worried she'd overexert herself, so I took on half her work willingly, and even made sure her bowl was the first to be filled from the big communal pot. But all her kindness overflowed to outsiders. When I fought for fairness, she effortlessly took on others' slacking duties, guilt-tripping me into helping out. While I worked hard to make sure her bowl overflowed, she nobly handed it over to Carrie, who had hidden food, without looking at my gaunt face. When questioned in my frustration, her tears welled up as she said, "Carrie's got nothing and is struggling. You're getting help from your aunt and uncle. Why aren't you satisfied? Why fight over it?" Carrie clung to her bowl, suspicious. "Lily's so generous and you. Why must you compete for everything?" And with a final jab, "No wonder you're not as likable as Lily." It was food I earned with hard work, and they made it look like I stole it. Later, when I earned praise from the town leadership and secured a college spot, my cousin drank pesticides that very night. When everyone got there, her face was pale, and she looked pitifully at me. "Sis, once I'm gone, that college spot is all yours. I just missed home too much. Don't blame her after I'm gone, okay?" And with that, she fell weakly into my crush's arms, closing her eyes slowly. The village head, scared, took 30 pounds of grain in exchange for a tractor to rush her to the hospital. She survived, of course. After getting her stomach pumped, she seemed frilier. The village leadership, afraid of another attempt, decided to give her the college spot. Meanwhile, her followers made my life miserable. I ate the least, worked the hardest, and constantly endured their chilly words. Finally, one sweltering afternoon, dizzy, I plunged into the village river and never climbed back out. Hearing of my death, Lily remained indifferent inside. Didn't I warn her not to be so competitive? If you're patient, good things will come. Good things indeed. I made sure you got what you wanted this life. Without my help, let's see you handle the countryside. Suddenly, thunderous applause filled the room. The school principal and a few leaders stood at the back, nodding approvingly. The principal spoke. "This student's got a bright mind. A role model for our entire student body." Lily turned, surprised. "Principal, what a surprise. It's just my heart speaking. Thank you for the compliment." Having lived through this once before, I knew she had rehearsed this scene countless times, all to impress the school leaders and secure a precious college spot. Just like last time, she used me as a comparison. "Principal, this is my cousin. She works hard and my aunt and uncle doted on her. Maybe she could go to college too, because I fear she won't tolerate countryside hardship. Such sweet words. In the past, gullible me truly believed it was for my best. I even held her hand and thanked her, then eagerly glanced at the principal. Though pleased before, the principal's face now clouded over. Your cousin is advanced in her thinking, loves her country, and you? Why seek life's comforts at the expense of duty? No university for someone as backward as that. Not only did I lose a spot, but my high school diploma was withheld too, due to this backward notion. Remembering how the past's hardships began, I elbowed her aside and quickly spoke. Cousin, how could you say such things? Don't complain about your parents' jobs. There's nothing more nourishing than homegrown love. My parents may only have one daughter, but they won't save me from it. They'll let me sign up first. And you too, both of us. I grabbed my cousin's hand, pushing her in front of the principal. Great. The principal softened, praising me. What a wonderful student. My cousin panicked, stared wild-eyed at the gathered leaders and screamed. How could you sign up for the countryside? How dare you submit us both? When I saw her angry face, I took a few steps back and said, feeling wronged. Didn't you always say that us educated youth should go to the countryside to learn? Are you saying only I should go? If you don't want to, I can go by myself. I'm not afraid of hard work. Everyone started to give her skeptical looks. My cousin forced a smile and said, I was just too happy and didn't realize it at first. I chimed in, pulling out her application from her desk. I thought you wanted to stay in the city. I must have read this application form wrong. Pointing to the name, I wonder who wrote your name there. She shrieked, snatched it, and tore it to pieces, but it was too late. Everyone clearly saw the name Lily. The classroom buzzed. Turns out she wanted us all to go to the countryside to prevent competition for that spot. She even encouraged wheelchair-bound Ken to go. So shady. Pretending to be all virtuous but full of schemes. In the past, Lily secretly applied, so no one knew even if she didn't get selected. When she had to go, people thought she was progressive volunteering. She got special treatment, unlike me, who was forced to go. But this time, she lost that good reputation. Within a day, everyone knew about Lily's scheming. A week before leaving, Lily started hanging around my house. Her eyes practically screamed that it was my fault. But she kept up her aloof facade, too proud to complain directly. Seeing I wasn't responding, she went to my mom, saying, I believe Linda didn't mean to drag me to the countryside. Even if she wronged me, don't blame her, Auntie. She's just spoiled. But this time, my mom saw through her, and didn't split the family savings with us like before. Before leaving, my mom sewed a $100 bill into my clothes, and packed my bag with essentials. Lily, on the other hand, didn't have it so easy. Her family was poor with 3 younger siblings, and her aunt and uncle didn't even give her a quilt. She stood there with tears in her eyes in front of me. Peeking at her seat, I saw a burly middle-aged lady sitting comfortably with a chubby kid. Lily seemed to want me to step up and help. In the past, I'd argue with the woman, while Lily went on about kindness, reluctantly taking back her seat. But now, I acted like I saw nothing. Lily, full of silent grievances, stood by me until the train jolted for 2 hours. Finally, she couldn't hold back, whisper shouting in my ear, Linda. Linda. Tired of her pestering, I opened my eyes but stayed silent. Lily bit her lip and complained. How can you sleep well when so many people don't have seats? Looked around, it seemed like only she was standing. Cousin, I know you're kind and can't stand to see others suffer. Now that everyone's seated, rest easy, I replied and closed my eyes again. No matter her calling, I pretended to sleep deeply. Defeated, she stomped her foot in frustration and walked away. I peeked as she glanced back with every step, heading toward the lady. I thought she'd muster the courage, but shortly after, the lady stomped over saying, So you want me to move? Do you even know who I am? Not far away, Lily watched, arms crossed, pleased with herself. This kind of troublemaking I've seen many times in the past life. Hey there, miss. I saw you with a child and thought to offer some snacks for the kid, I said. Above was Lily's luggage, and I pulled out a bag of milk powder. Turns out it was the one my mom sent her family during New Year's. Watching, Lily couldn't hold back and shrieked, How dare you give my stuff away? I dodged her charge, pointing at the drooling chubby kid. Cousin, didn't you always tell me to be generous? Look how skinny this child is, it's just some milk powder, don't be petty. The middle-aged woman nodded in agreement. What's yours or mine? You call yourself educated youth, but have no respect. Lily forced a smile. Linda, you know that's not what I meant. Life in the countryside is tough. I worry about my nutrition failing, not about a few things. I nodded, found a pack of cookies, and gave it to the kid. I know you're kind enough to not mind. Here, miss and little one, sit comfortably. After settling them in Lily's seat, the surroundings erupted in praise. Lily, trying to maintain composure, gave up after the woman slapped her twice. With a glare from me, Lily grabbed her slightly deflated bag and hid in the aisle. By the time the train reached its destination, Lily was exhausted, slumped on the floor. Even with passengers brushing past, she didn't react. When we got off, her eyes were lifeless, hair a bird's nest, her white dress stained with shoe prints. It gave me such satisfaction. We were assigned to a place called Dunn Village, the most remote part of the county. The head of the household picking us up rode a rickety ox cart, swaying with every step. Lily tried fixing her hair, attempting to look calm and elegant. How can they use an ox cart for us? It's just too undignified, she grumbled. I noticed that other villages arrived with tractors. I bet this brigade leader is trying to intimidate us. I've heard enough of these suggestive remarks. It's like my ears have calluses. They just know I'm hot-tempered and are using me to cause trouble. Last lifetime, convinced by her instigation, I went to the brigade leader and suggested that the ox cart was too dirty. Maybe he could bring the tractor. I got a scolding for that and left a bad impression on the leader. Meanwhile, Lily spoke up calmly. My cousin has been competitive since she was little, but she doesn't represent everyone's opinion. Coming to the countryside is about working hard. We're grateful to have the ox cart, she said. That's how she earned everyone's admiration, before even setting foot in the village. Seeing me silent, Lily raised her voice a bit. You should always maintain your dignity. Your clothes are already messy. Imagine if the ox cart dirted them even more. I interrupted, put my luggage on the ox cart first, and said, Cousin, we're here to build the countryside, so we should be ready. Even if our clothes get dirty, as long as our hearts are clean, that's what matters. The brigade leader put down his pipe, clapped, and exclaimed, Well said. Dirty clothes are better than a dirty heart. He then gave Lily a side eye, making her avert her gaze. Our village is simple and honest. We can't accommodate schemers. Hurry up, folks. The village is far, and there are wolves at night. Everyone quickly put their luggage on the cart. The cart wasn't big, and was soon packed, hardly fitting 3 people. Lily looked gracious, suggesting, Everyone's tired. Get on. Don't worry about me, I can manage. Having been cramped on the train for 6 hours, no one was polite, scrambling onto the cart. Lily froze, clearly not expecting no one to give her a spot. I found a comfortable position and lay down, with Lily sobbing quietly behind me. I glanced back. Her shoes were already covered in dust. Seems like she wanted to stay neat even while heading to the countryside. About a mile in, she couldn't hold back. Linda, you can't just think of yourself. This gentleman is very tired. Let him rest. She blinked at me, trying to be considerate. But she picked the wrong guy. This guy named John is straightforward. Who says I'm tired? A strong man has energy to spare. If you want a seat, just say so. Why involve me? John frowned and scrutinized her. Look at what you're wearing, all flashy. If everyone in our country were like you, how would we get strong? Lily's face turned crimson. I'm just keeping my dignity. If you think like that, I have no way to defend myself. John nodded confidently. You have nothing to say. If I point out your flaws, you should thank me. Unable to win an argument, Lily sped up, accidentally getting her shoes stepped on by John, who was lecturing her. Her family wasn't well off. Those shoes, a gift from her aunt to help her catch a rich man, had lasted 3 years. They looked fine from the outside, but were heavily repaired. A slight misstep from John, and the shoe's sole gave way. Lily fell hard. She had no choice but to sit in the ox cart for the rest of the way, cradling her shoes and crying until we entered the village. Before getting off, she lifted her head with stubbornness, tears tracing lines down her dusty face. Trying to appear strong yet fragile, she hoped to evoke sympathy. Instead, her tear-streaked, dirted face amused even the kids, who called her a big tabby cat. Lily was devastated. She finally stopped crying as we entered the courtyard, standing dumbfounded in front of a row of kangs. We're the third batch of people moving to the countryside. Of the 8 girls before us, 3 got married, 1 became a teacher, leaving just 4 in the house. The place, barely a house, was an old temple converted dim drafty, not even as good as old uninhabited city houses. Having lived here for 3 years before, I was used to it. I quickly claimed a spot by the wall, cleaned it up and set up my bedding. The others followed suit, tidying quickly while Lily stood around. An old country folk asked her why she wasn't unpacking, and her eyes welled up again, looking helplessly at me. I want to stay with my cousin, but she seems not to like me. Though she didn't bring bedding, she claimed it was to stay with me. Last time, considering our sisterly bond, I invited her to share my space and never mentioned her struggles. Yet she told everyone I robbed her of sleep, exhausting her at work, and I'd end up doing half her tasks. Cousin, you're such a proper person. I'm afraid being close to you might taint your noble character. And my bedding is old. It could dirty your expensive dresses, I teased. The old folks' eyes lit up and offered, stay with me. I've got space. Lily gave me a knowing look, smugly nodding. Thank you. Carrie the enthusiast said, we're family now, don't be a stranger. Let me help you settle in. At this, Lily comfortably sat back, directing Carrie, convinced her charm had won Carrie over, her weariness disappearing. But she was celebrating too soon. Carrie was always looking out for herself too. In the sweltering August heat, Lily readied herself to work, wearing a blue striped dress, and stitched her shoes overnight. She was quite the sight in the fields. The brigade leader hurried after her, fuming. What did you come here for, to farm or dance? Go change that getup of yours. Startled, Lily pouted. I just want to keep it classy. The leader pointed at me. Go make sure she changes. Lily looked defeated. Why must I be pressured? Even in the fields, I can look presentable. Yet after a day of weeding, she never said those words again. Lily cried into the night, clutching her blistered hands. She only stopped when Carrie, who was trying to comfort her, fell asleep. In the haze of sleep, I heard quiet noises from beside my pillow. Instinctively, I threw a punch. Lily, normally so refined, screamed like a banshee. Someone lit an oil lamp and asked, annoyed. Lily seemed frustrated and resentful. I just wanted to borrow some ointment from my cousin. I didn't think she'd get mad and hit me, disturbing everyone's rest. I'm sorry on her behalf. Your way of borrowing is sneaking in the middle of the night without saying a word. She pouted, confused, handprint red on her cheek. If that's what you think, then there's no explaining. No one cared for her explanations. They warned her that if she stole again, they'd go to the team leader, then fell right back to sleep. I didn't steal, I really didn't, she muttered, getting slapped by Wendy, the big sister of the courtyard, for her persistence. Her feeling of injustice lasted till the next workday. She frowned at the gloves I wore. Linda, we're here to work, not live like royalty. Hand over those gloves, or I'll report this to the team leader. Without lifting my head, I said, go ahead. I asked the team leader's wife to buy these yesterday. She froze, forcing herself to speak. Didn't I always teach you to be generous? You see, no one else has gloves, yet you flaunt yours. Let it go this time. But if you do this again, I'll set you straight. She preached about sharing while reaching easily for the gloves. I stepped away. She shook her head, looking disappointed. I always taught you to share growing up. We're like family here. Would you be happy if family got hurt? When did you become selfish? Carrie chimed in, fanning the flames. Yeah, you must have more than one pair. Hand them over. I squatted, focused on weeding, tossing dirt and weeds in their direction. Turns out with gloves on, weeding doesn't hurt. I know you'd refuse if I offered you gloves, so I gave them to Wendy instead. You won't take them back now, will you? Wendy overheard, gesturing thanks from afar. Lily scoffed. I was just thinking about Carrie. Carrie didn't dare cross feisty Wendy, and waved her hands to decline. In the fields, everyone toiled. The team leader spotted Lily standing aloof. While others work, what are you doing just standing there? Turning gracefully, Lily said, I'm a high school graduate, It's beneath me to weed. How about letting me teach at the school? The leader chuckled angrily. Everyone here finished high school. Keep slacking and chatting, and you'll be shoveling dung. Lily cringed at the word dung. Even in a village, she insisted on decorum. The leader stared at her like she was delusional. We're all human here, relying on manure for our crops. You think you're special? I straightened my back, stretching. Right, the scallions I had this morning were grown in manure. Wonder how many times Wendy washed them. Wendy laughed heartily. Why bother? A little dirt won't hurt. Though grueling, the thought of Lily hitting rock bottom brought me satisfaction. Carrie stuck with her for weeks but kicked her out when Lily ran dry. Lily was incredulous. After all the candy and cookies I shared, now you kick me out? Carrie defended herself. I fetched water and worked hard for you. What, you expected all back? Everyone ignored Lily sulking, leaving her with just clothes to sleep on. Eventually, she returned, proudly carrying bedding past me into the room. Wendy whispered. She swapped her dress for old bedding from the lady at the village entrance. I was puzzled. The lady is so generous? A dress for new bedding? Wendy scoffed. That woman would haggle over anything. The bedding stuffed with cattails just looks decent. Lily sorted the bedding, but not the hard labor still ahead. In her previous life, she impressed the leader, becoming a teacher in just 2 weeks. But now, lazy was tattooed on her forehead. After half a month, Lily was done. Every day after work, she visited the leader's house, entertaining kids or offering vegetables, the kind growing in our own courtyard. Carrie fumed at this thievery, but dared not reclaim them. Then the village started gossiping. The leader was livid, reprimanding his wife, and assigning Lily 2 tough plots. Her resolve cracked. On the way home, she stopped me. Linda, tell the leader I want to be a teacher. After a day of work, I was sore. Irritated, I asked, why don't you tell him yourself? Unbothered, she replied, I don't stoop to compete. For the kid's best education, I'll make an exception. I stared at her silently. Knowing our month-long acquaintance, she faltered. The current teacher's 2 months pregnant. How can she fully commit to teaching? It's obvious I should step in. How do you know that? I stared at her suspiciously. These days, people usually don't share news until it's settled. So how does an outsider like Lily know? Her face flickered with something unnatural for a moment. Of course I heard it. Remembering how a few days ago, Carrie had mysteriously mentioned seeing Lily walking with a man in a suit. It suddenly clicked. That guy works in town, Mike, the husband of our teacher. In a previous life, Lily was tight with Mike, and often went to town to mooch food and drinks. She used to say, Mike and I are just clean, more like siblings. The teacher was furious, but with her family nowhere nearby, she was helpless. Her daughter, neglected by a busy mother-in-law, drowned in the river. Later, she freed herself by getting into college, leaving behind that toxic family. Lily had already gone to college by then, but she still came back to comfort Mike, trashing the teacher for her so-called injustice. To advance your career, you killed an innocent child. That's ruthless. Focus on your own life more, Mike. Who knew they'd hook up so early? Hey cousin, I know you don't like competition much, but you probably wanted us all to have a fair shot. So I'm gonna tell everyone about this great news now. Thanks to my heads up, everyone requested a fair competition from the school. Now after work, people are hitting the books hard. Lily was fuming. I didn't expect this from you. This competitive look is just disgusting. Her words alienated the entire community. Carrie barked back. Who doesn't know about you and Mike? We're doing this the honest way, unlike you two. I'm just friends with Mike. She pouted, full of grievance. Yeah, like those friends who wander shoulder to shoulder at midnight or stargaze together. Lily tugged at her shirt, looking all misunderstood and pained. With accusations like that, I'm lost for words. Carrie gave a dismissive snort and walked off. But the news reached our teacher's ears. A few days before the assessment, she stormed into our courtyard, grabbing Lily, who's been hiding, reading in a corner. Lily fell to the ground, tears in her eyes, but defiantly held her head high. I'm tired of defending my innocence. Whether it's true or not, it didn't look good for Mike. The villagers thought something was definitely off. Stop being unreasonable. Lily is high-minded and kind. Treating me just like a brother, Mike said. Helping her up, looking full of protectiveness and unrequited love. Mike. They were lost in each other's gaze, ignoring the stunned crowd. The teacher lunged, pulling at Lily's hair. In the chaos, she was pushed over, howling in pain. By the time she went to the police, it was too late to save her unborn child. She cried bitterly, went to the team leader, claiming Lily had cost her a child's life, and demanded justice. To protect Lily, Mike not only agreed to divorce, but also compensated with $100. Now, rumors about Lily planning to marry Mike were gospel truth around here. Because of her behavior, Lily was banned from the assessment. In the end, based on our rankings, I got the spot. On the handover day, the teacher leaned in and whispered in my ear, "I've seen your papers. Thank you." I had anonymously tipped her off about Lily and Mike's relationship weeks ago. She wasn't naive. Her family wasn't exactly some kind of sanctuary either. Mike used to treat her all right. But since Lily showed up, things turned sour. Twice, it got physical, almost causing her miscarriages. Being far from home, surrounded by Mike's family, she dared not divorce. This mess with Lily became her out. Harvest time was coming up, a big deal for the village. School granted us time off to help with the harvest. I wasn't an exception. Despite being fall, the scorching sun made us feel like we were on fire. After a day of harvest, we were bone tired. Just making it back to the courtyard, seeing a bowl full of wild vegetables enraged Carrie. She snatched the spoon and stirred the pot furiously. "We give you all this grain, and you serve us a bowl of wild greens?" Lily, clad in a new dress, gave a wounded look. "Wild greens are edible. I picked them fresh and cleaned them thoroughly this morning. I even put a little flour by your bowl for aesthetic. Even in rural areas, we should maintain some class." Carrie, her eyes blazing, shook Lily hard. "My grain, where is it? I gave it to someone else. Their family just had a new grandchild, and they can't even open the pot." "We're strong, we can manage," Lily responded as if it were a minor ask. In times like these, even strong farmhands struggled, let alone us. Wendy quietly took Lily's share of the food and left. Lily panicked. "Can't we just be nice for a change? All food is the same, why fight over it?" "Linda, you agree, don't you?" she pleaded, waiting for me to back her. In our last life, during her turn to cook, she sold our weekly ration to send money home. When questioned, she'd deflect, casting guilty looks my way. "You guys stop it. I would never snitch," she'd claim. I had to use my rations to bail us out, for which she tearfully thanked me, only to tell people I forced her to sell the grain to feed my poor family. Dragged over by Carrie, the team leader wasn't willing to go easy this time. Done with politeness, they scolded and called in an aunt for the grain. "Where's the grain?" The aunt, holding a spatula, asked, puzzled. "She eats at my place daily. When did she give me any grain?" Flustered, Lily stammered, saying she bought fabric for clothes. The more she spoke, the more she seemed justified. "My getting dressed up brings honor to the courtyard, doesn't it?" The leader, speechless, ruled Lily had to compensate each of us with 30 work points to calm everyone down. She ran out crying, and didn't even make dinner. But by the afternoon, she came back looking all happy. Because Jason showed up. When he arrived, Lily looked all pitiful, hugging a pile of dirty clothes, hoping I'd take over. "Linda, you've changed. You're only thinking about yourself, so selfish. Carrie was sick yesterday, and you didn't even help her. Here's your chance to make up for it, go wash Carrie's clothes." I just chuckled, picked up the dirty water and splashed it over. Lily stumbled right into Jason's arms. Jason, Lily blushed, started sharing her woes with him like nobody else was there. After hearing her out, Jason tightened his eyebrows, raised his head with pride. "Linda, no matter how much you trouble Lily, I won't ever like you. You should just give up already." Gotta say, he's head over heels for Lily. He signed up for countryside work without telling his folks, spent 3 years doing all sorts of chores there for her. Even when Lily left him to return to the city, he had no complaints at all. Later, Lily drank pesticide, and occasionally faked being sick to get into the hospital, and he blamed all that on me. He even intercepted letters my family sent me. Honestly, you could say my death is partly on him too. Jason and I grew up in the same apartment building. Our parents worked at the same place. When we were kids, there was even talk of an arranged marriage for fun. But once Lily came along, everything changed. Whatever I did, his first thought was if I might hurt Lily. According to him, Lily is calm and serene, like a chrysanthemum. You can't bully her. Jason would break with his parents for her, and do it gladly. As long as Lily is safe, I don't mind enduring a bit. So to sum it up, he's just a fool with a leaky brain. Jason brought a lot of stuff when he came. During meals, he'd hand out a piece of canned meat to everyone, skipping just me. When we worked, he'd help everyone finish early, leaving only me to work alone. Luckily, I had enough rations and didn't want to get involved with them. The stuff Jason brought ran out quickly, and both of them were visibly thinner. Yet, the work points they earned were less than what 7- or 8-year-old kids earned, so they ran out of food. They could only look at others enviously. Linda, you only think about yourself. Can't you see Jason is starving? A girl like you won't suffer if you eat a bit less. But Jason isn't used to hardship. Just let him have some. Lily, don't beg her. I won't accept food from someone so selfish, he said, insisting he didn't want it, but he couldn't take his eyes off the cornbread in my hand. I downed it in a few bites. You're right. I can't insult you with these things. Someone as distinguished as you should be drinking dew and eating flowers. This food doesn't match your high quality. After a few days of hunger, Lily eyed us differently. Wendy scoffed. What can she do? I can squash her like a bug. But we underestimated her mindset. One morning she came back from her day off looking quite satisfied. I took on the job of repairing the village's canal. I convinced the team leader to let us do it, 10 work points a day. You know, I've never competed for anything. I broke my rule just so you all could earn points. She said proudly, waiting for praise. I'll kill you. Wendy tackled her, fists swinging furiously. Fearing Lily might take a real beating, John dragged Wendy away. Lily looked innocent. I did it for everybody's good. Jason realized what was going on, and stood protectively in front of her. Lily humbles herself for you, and instead of gratitude you blame her. How shameless. But words were pointless. The team leader had already sent the list. Under the blazing sun, I was feeling faint from the heat in the canal. Lily fluttered around like a butterfly. Mister, rest if you're tired. We have the strength to do it. Leave it to us, she said to the old fellow. Brother, look at how much you're sweating. Save your strength, let John handle it. He's strong and won't mind. Wendy held back until she finally slapped Lily twice, making things quiet. It seems even if I ignore her, I'd still get drawn into her mess. I needed a way to stay away from her. At lunch, Lily approached me again, with advice. Linda, it's such a waste for us to eat buns when we're healthy. Why not give them to me? I'll lend them out to the village kids, at least it's for a good cause. I quickly stuffed the bun in my mouth, and took the one from her hand, handing it to a skinny kid from the next village. You're still young, eat up and grow. I grinned at Lily with my big white teeth. My cousin's right. You're generous and strong in your prime. From now on, I'll deliver your buns daily. It's such a great act. After her loss, Lily didn't dare come near me in the afternoon. She just wandered around, whining about how people aren't classy and fight over food. That evening, the cook lady came looking for me. She patted my shoulder. Sweet girl, you gave that wheat milk cream to my grandson on the train, and a bun to my son yesterday. I don't know how to thank you. Digging canals is for the lads. Come cook with me instead. I nudged Wendy next to me. The lady waved her hand. Both of you come. Cooking wasn't tiring, and it meant 8 work points. Wendy and I were so happy our smiles went crooked. Lily eyed us with envy. Linda, didn't I say do good without expecting anything? Even if the wheat milk cream and bun were from me. You can't just slack off 'cause you're my cousin. Lady, I apologize on her behalf. Please forgive her this time. I'll take over cooking duties. The lady spat. I wouldn't dare talk to prissy folks like you. Lily clutched her chest, furious and white-eyed, and laid down. But the big sis woke her up with 2 slaps. Trying to fake illness to slack off? Not that easy. She offended the cook, and now she's even more out of favor. If you hustle for meals, you can eat your fill. But she couldn't stand the undignified act of pushing and shoving for food. Every mealtime, she made sure to show up last, wanting to display her noble character of not being competitive. The result? No buns left, not even scraps at the bottom of the pot. Jason, who had just been sent to dig canals, was about to lose it too as Lily, with her eyes wide open, swooshed in to finish his share of the food. Sometimes, you could hear them complaining to each other as you walked past. After going hungry for 3 days, Lily finally couldn't take it anymore. At mealtime, she rushed to the front, even losing a shoe in the process. After 2 months of canal digging, Lily lost all her dignity. The day before heading back to the village, news arrived about a college spot being available. The canal digging crew had the most people involved, and the team leader managed to demand 2 spots with tears and tantrums. It was even more than in the previous life. The village went wild, and the threshold of the team leader's house was practically worn out by visitors. Rumor had it that the spots would go to the most educated and hardworking folks. I worked full shifts on the harvest and canal projects, plus teaching earned me 9 points a day. Aunties from the village came to congratulate me right away. They had peeked at the scorebook. John and I were at the top for work points. The moment Lily heard the news, she grabbed a bottle of pesticide from the village warehouse. Lying dramatically in Jason's arms, she said, "Sis, if I die, this spot is yours." In the face of life and death, Jason instantly forgot the miserable times he was tricked into digging canals and held her, sobbing uncontrollably. "You always had to compete with your cousin, and now you won't even spare her life." The guys who liked her couldn't bear it. Lily, seeing it all from a broader perspective, said, "How can you push her to death over a college spot?" Thinking about the same old trick she pulled last time, that got me labeled as cold-hearted by the villagers, a flame ignited within me. I rushed to the latrine and filled a scoop to the brim. "Get out of the way. People like her need to live long." Lily was forced to drink until she was gasping for air, coughing for dear life. I only took a sip of pesticide. She managed to say, "I'm fine. Just help me call for help." This time, the team leader refused to lend the ox cart, casually pointing to Jason to help get Lily to the town hospital. Lily was right, the pesticide was weak now, but she still ended up staying in the hospital for half a month, because her respiratory tract was inflamed from aspirating the latrine water. By the time she was discharged, the spots had already been submitted. She fell to her knees in front of me in front of everyone in the village, crying pitifully. "My parents are ill, and my younger siblings need care. Cousin, you've always had a comfortable life, lacking nothing, so don't fight with me." In surprise, I pointed to the letter in my hand. "But my mom said uncle and auntie are doing well, and that you even got a new bike." Her face twisted for a moment before returning to normal. "Dear cousin, your family is well off and you have the strength to work. Staying here farming could really make you shine. I know you're not self-serving or hypocritical. Please let someone more in need have the spot." I nodded in agreement. In her hopeful eyes, I pulled Wendy over. "You're right. So I've decided to give the spot to Wendy." Wendy has been in the countryside for 3 years, always diligent and enduring. She's made so many contributions to the village. Giving her the spot is well deserved. You returned just in time. The courtyard is prepping to celebrate Wendy and John's departure. In my past life, Wendy took good care of me. When I first arrived, I knew nothing. She helped patch my clothes several times, and often warned me to watch out for Lily. But such a kind-hearted person was cornered by Lily stealing her personal clothes and giving them to the villagers. Lily said, "You're at an age where you should settle down. They like you a lot. This rare opportunity shouldn't be missed." No need to thank me. Rumors spread rapidly, and Wendy's stubbornness eventually led to her demise. After her death, Lily acted innocent. I was just giving her a happy family. How could she leave like that? Wendy had to leave to avoid such unforeseen disasters. Lily was shocked. She couldn't comprehend why someone would give away an opportunity at hand. Wendy and John left, but those who stayed still had to work. We were assigned to reclaim land, and Lily, dejected, half-heartedly dug at the soil. In a short time, I was meters ahead of her. With another strike of the hoe, the ground shimmered golden. I glanced around and quietly tucked it into my pocket. Lily craned her neck, trying to see what I was doing. "Got a problem?" She turned her head. "I mean, even working requires some elegance. You're anything but graceful." I spat. "Whatever." Over the next few days, Lily darted to the main building right after work, lingering around my area, always looking to touch and grab things. I noticed signs that my clothes and bedding had been tampered with a few times. Unable to find what she was after, she sought out Mike. How could it not be here? She whispered. I clearly saw her put it here. Are you sure it was gold? Of course. A piece as big as my palm. Before she could finish, the team leader kicked the door open. Shocked, Lily and Mike stammered that they were just catching mice. The team leader's face was full of disbelief. Who gave you permission to be in the girls' dorm? I don't see any mice here. I saw Linda hiding gold and not turning it in. Even though she's my cousin, I can't cover for her, Lily insisted. Carrie was furious, holding her shuffled clothes. All right, if you can find it, I'll believe you. Pouting, Lily protested. I can't find it, but I know she has it. I'm always transparent with my words. Why would I falsely accuse her? Smack. Smack. Carrie responded with 2 slaps. I was puzzled. Despite Lily's habit of never conceding and always demanding, she took hits with such familiarity. It was like she was used to it. She never seemed to mind who hit her. After enjoying the show, I pulled out that gold ingot from my pocket. Is this what you're looking for? Lily was quick to point and exclaim, yes. That's the one. See, team leader. I'm just trying to present my cousin's wrongdoings. Sneering, the team leader replied, if you saw it, why did you go to Mike? Linda already reported it. The villagers watching started to jeer. It's obvious, isn't it? The 2 of them planned to keep it for themselves. Lily still looks all innocent. You're accusing me, and I can't defend myself. The team leader doesn't have much to say to her either, so he punishes her by making her scoop manure. The wasteland didn't just have golden ingots. Later, I also found a copper coin. I immediately realized there might be an ancient tomb underneath. In a past life, I found this golden ingot too. Back then my parents were struggling, so I gave it to Lily to help out. The result was predictable. It didn't help my parents at all, and I was worried they'd get in trouble, so I reported them again. Later my parents got sent to a farm. They tried to warn me to stay away from her house, but the letter was intercepted by Jason, and I never heard from them again. Lily seems to have a special connection with manure. A few days later, she fell into the pit, and her scream scared the village pigs so much that they didn't eat for 2 days. The team leader deducted 20 work points from her. She wanted to complain to Jason, but her stench made him avoid her. Bad luck just kept coming. Lily ran out of food. She stood there by the table with a mournful look. Why don't you make my meals? Carrie scraped the bottom of the pot until it was shiny. Give us some grain. We're barely managing ourselves. Everyone at the table kept focused on their food, ignoring her. She ran off crying, embarrassed. Jason's been acting weird lately, looking at me with a sad expression. I just came out of the restroom when he leaned against the wall. I won't hang out with Lily anymore, satisfied? The stuff you brought back from the city. It was for me, right? All my favorite cookies. Thanks, hand them over. I cleaned my ear and pointed behind me. There's nothing to eat, but there's something fresh and suitable for you back there if you want. How crude. Jason, you made my day. Because Lily smelled so bad, I couldn't sleep at night. Thanks to discovering the ancient tomb, I moved out of the compound. Now I live with the war hero's widow. With my own room, I had a bunch of college exam materials sent. Every night, I study late into the night. Finally, the college entrance exams were reinstated. The whole village buzzed with excitement. I handed over the study materials I'd been saving to the team leader. The team leader was pleased. I've always known you were a good comrade. Lily, smelling ripe, pouted. We should stick together. How could you give those materials to the villagers? They can't even understand them. Books are for respectable people. The team leader scolded her harshly. You're a manure scooper. What's respectable about that? Go eat and scoop. You're too much. Lily ran off crying again. On exam day, 20 villagers went. Everyone wanted to go all out to get into college and leave this mud-filled village. Lily wanted to escape the village manure even more, but she studied by checking everyone else's progress. And when taking breaks, she followed her brother Mike to town for some fun, calling it a balanced lifestyle. Getting closer to the exam, she panicked. We had reviewed the material 5 times, but she hadn't even finished looking through it. The day before the exam, she brought a bunch of meat buns as a treat. Linda, I brought these buns from town for you. Hoping we'll all do well tomorrow. She wore a faint smile, looking friendly. Make sure to eat them all. Carrie was anxious, tugging at my sleeve. Doesn't it feel like she's up to no good? Coincidentally, a lady walked by, saw us staring at the table with buns, and came over. Oh, having a treat today, huh? Must have money. Shame this old lady hasn't tasted them. Carrie quickly waved her hands. Auntie, you misunderstood. Lily bought these. Before she could finish, the buns were snatched away by Auntie Lou. She bought them with my son's money, yet you dare eat. After she left, Carrie stuck out her tongue. I wasn't going to eat them anyway. I asked her with a laugh. Don't you usually love free stuff? I do, but I trade. I don't take stuff like Lily's for free. There's always a catch. She was right. During the exam, I was in the same room as Lily. A series of noises, accompanied by an indescribable smell, had everyone covering their noses. After Lily rushed to the bathroom twice, the proctor warned her that a third time would mean handing in her paper. But during the final session, she couldn't hold it any longer. Soup and water splashed, and she cried while writing. Even the proctor couldn't take it. Luckily, I'm used to her stink. It wasn't that hard to endure. Outside, Mike, who came to pick her up, was met with 2 slaps. What did you make me eat? Carrie walked by her, pinching her nose, and whispered to me. Auntie took the buns home, not sharing a single one with her grandson. Mike took them and gave them to Lily. Before entering the exam, Lily had bragged about eating meat buns all day. It took her 3 days to recover, looking pale and twisted. You did it on purpose, made me eat on purpose. Afraid to be heard, she lowered her voice, gritting her teeth. You knew the buns were bad. I feigned confusion. Cousin, what are you talking about? We were just about to eat the buns when they were taken, saying Mike bought them for you. Did going to the bathroom during the exam have to do with eating buns? I feigned sudden understanding, raising my voice. Everyone working nearby heard. Lily's notorious act spread through the town by the end of the day. She was pointed at every time she stepped outside. She was overwhelmed, staying quietly in the village until the university admission letters arrived. When the delivery guy arrived, Lily rushed to the front. 3 acceptance letters. I got into college, the teacher got into a teaching school, and Jason barely made it into a vocational college. Lily was in disbelief, asking the leader if he had forgotten her letter. The leader, impatient. Do you still have the face to ask? Your issue got to the higher-ups. You're going to have to attend a health workshop in town. You've embarrassed the whole production team. Lily yelled that's impossible and ran to me. Then give me the acceptance letter. Last time you gave the college spot to Wendy. I'm your cousin. Isn't it my turn? You're smart. You can take the exam again next year, she frantically said, losing her composure. I raised my hand. She hesitated for a moment, then ran away quickly. But she didn't give up, and arranged to meet Jason in the woods. Jason, how could you leave me behind and take off? Have you forgotten all our promises? This time, she wore an old dress, trying to regain her past elegance. Jason had a nostalgic look in his eyes. Life's unpredictable. We used to be great together. A gust of wind came through, carrying a faint stench, and made Jason shiver. I'm leaving in a couple of days. We'll see each other if fate allows. Seeing he wouldn't budge, Lily's face twisted, her gaze growing determined. She seemed to make a decision, and quickly stripped off her clothes. Jason, from today on, I'm yours. Nearby, Carrie was wide-eyed in shock. Is this supposed to be graceful and serene? I dragged her behind the small woods, fearful of being spotted. Jason panicked, trying to flee, but Lily held him by the leg, both becoming entangled. Noticing workers passing by outside the woods, I tossed a stone over. A sharp-eyed lady with a hoe saw the two entangled. Oh my goodness, someone come quick, it's indecent. Villagers rushed over, surrounding them before Lily could put her clothes back on completely. Among them, Mike yelled to the sky. Lily, is he forcing you? He said and threw a punch the size of a sandbag at Jason's head. With tears streaming down, Lily cried. Don't fight. Don't argue over me. I know you all like me, but I'm not worth it. Jason. Mike's rage grew, violently beating Jason up. I nudged the lady's hoe over to his side. Sure enough, amidst Lily's cries, Mike resolutely picked it up. The police arrived quickly. Jason, whose condition was unknown, was also taken to the station. His mother, furious, clawed at Lily. "Troublemaker, having my son work and bring you food every day. Now you've got him arrested. Why don't you just die?" Such a significant incident overshadowed the college acceptance letters, becoming the talk of the village. The village ladies whispered and rumors snowballed. "She took 2 buns from my son last time. I thought she liked him." "What? She also took eggs from me. This girl my son gave her braised pork." Carrie had an epiphany. No wonder she survived on few work points. She must have had extra supplies. Jason wasn't doing well in the police station. Doctors said his brain injury left him in a vegetative state. His parents rushed to pick him up overnight. After hearing from others and the leader, they despised Lily altogether. Later, my mom said Jason's parents got Lily's parents fired. Furious, they announced that Lily was never to return home again. Lily had no way back to the city, focusing on the college entrance exams. But Jason's mom wouldn't agree. "You ruined my son and think you can just leave?" She got people to hold Lily in the village, saying they'll wait for Mike to get out and marry her. "No, he doesn't deserve me," Lily screamed, but Jason's mom slapped her back to reality. "When you ate Mike's food, why didn't you say he didn't deserve you? Wait here at home for Mike to come back." Before leaving, I handed over some organized materials to Carrie. "Share with everyone, don't keep it to yourself." Carrie rolled her eyes. "I know, I'm just getting some food and drink, all right? We don't have much at home. Gotta fight for my share or I'd starve." The cart traveled far, and Lily chased after. Linda, take your cousin with you. We went to the countryside together, remember?" But she was dragged back to the village by Jason's mom. On my first day of college, my parents took me shopping, where we ran into Wendy and John. She blushed shyly. "We're just out shopping." John was more straightforward. "We're getting married. I'm buying her new clothes." They invited me to be the maid of honor at their wedding. Wendy said, "If it weren't for me giving up my spot, they wouldn't be together. By the way, how's that cousin of yours?" I almost laughed. "She's used to not fighting over things. Simple village life suits her best." The end.